Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Barre Beat podcast, live from the Inside Scoop Studios here on Main Street, Barre, Vermont. Of course, we have with us the lovely Raylene. How are you doing, Raylene?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good evening, Glenn. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, we were running just a tad bit late. It was all Raylene's fault.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, I was working.
It definitely was not my
It wasn't.
fault.
It was my fault. I'm sorry. But, oh,
And
isn't that
Michael forgot
exciting?
to shut his phone off.
I did forget to shut my phone off. You know who it is? You want to guess who it is?
It's just a cluster of a night,
I know.
but that's okay.
So, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. I'm cold. I'm sick of the cold already.
Sick of the cold?
Well, it seems more bitter than what we have had in a few years. It just seems like it's a lot more bitter than it has been in a while. So I think we've gotten a little bit wimpy. I know I have. And there's no
Wimpy?
insulation on the ground. There's no, I wish it would just snow and get it over with. Pack us in a little bit.
Autumn says my hats are done. So it must be my 2 hats,
Wonderful.
which is great. I do have to go down there and pick it up. Thank
And
you
go
very
down
much
to
for
where?
letting me know.
A sponsor. Yipes. Barry Bevan and Sons.
That's right.
I'm going to be going down there and meeting with Val tomorrow about some things for our front window, actually. So I'm super excited about
Nice.
that.
Nice.
And they always do amazing work for us, for everybody. But
Yep.
I am very partial to them and all their hard work that they do.
They did the signs for the Christmas for Christmas for Kids, which we're
Yep.
going to have them either modify the signs so that it doesn't say City Council anymore. 'Cause
Right.
we don't want the City Council to have anything to do with, or you don't want the city involved with the term Christmas.
Well, yeah.
Not that I'm
Yeah, 'cause-
snotty about that.
No, me either. You know.
So how was your weekend? It was good, I assume?
It was good. You know,
Mariah?
it was pretty mellow. I didn't do a ton. The couple of weeks prior had been a little rough for me and emotional and whatever. So this weekend I kind of just vegged. Yeah. Did housework, which I always do anyways, as you know. I'm a little bit when it comes to that. But
I don't.
I got that done, and that made me feel better. And yeah,
Nice. Very nice. I don't do housework.
oh, Michael.
I have a mess here that I've created.
Yes, I know. I constantly have to pick up your messes.
I know. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with city council stuff?
Yeah,
Or do you want to talk about the big issue?
The big issue? You mean the Newberrys building that
Yeah.
seems to have become a big issue?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, let's talk about that first.
Sure. Okay. We can definitely do that.
I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's a good idea. I think anything is a good idea if it's not that thing sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that one, let's just be very clear. I mean, the Overlake, I think it's called Overlake Park LLC. It's the organization that part owner with Stephen Lewenstein. Super rich people. They don't really care about the building. You know, it's
Well,
they-
obviously, it
they
has
don't-
sat empty for
correct.
how long, and they don't even care.
Right. And I think it's some sort of tax write-off that they have that they get benefit from on that level. And, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything with them. They are not judgment proof, which is something that people use in collections all the time. Like there's no point of getting a judgment against them because they're like litigation proof because they have plenty of money to piss away on litigation. It's one of the, and if you don't believe me, I highly recommend you go to the Times Argus website,
and just Google it and see how much has been wasted there.
Over Lake Park. There was the little pocket park in Montpelier. I think they raised the fees to, I want to say it was $30,000 a year, and Montpelier was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
That's insane.
so it's not, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Every single time you make a law change, an ordinance change, they fix it to where it's within code. They do everything that's needed of them, but that's it.
To keep the building there.
Correct.
And they don't care if it just withers away to nothing.
Correct.
Are they up to date on their taxes?
Oh, they're up to date on their taxes, and so a couple years ago, I think it was a couple years ago, we were going to fine them for their roof. Their roof was caving in, and guess what they did?
Yeah, they fixed it.
They fixed it.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. Every single time currently it's yellow tagged because of the flood. So, I mean, they have a certain amount of time to fix things. I don't know what they're doing to fix it, to make it so it's not yellow tagged. And I honestly, full disclosure, I have no clue
But
what
you
that
know that
means.
they will fix it because
will
they
fix
always
it.
do.
Right. They fix it to the bare minimum so that they don't get in trouble legally. It's like putting the building on the market for $1.4 million.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, and this was all disclosed at the last meeting, the city council offered $400,000 to purchase it. That was in 2022, and that was, I believe that was a unanimous, I don't know, I can't remember, and it doesn't matter because we
They rejected the offer. They offered $400,000, and the offer was rejected.
Correct. And BADC has been hot on buying that building because they're just sick and tired of it being an eyesore in Barre City. It's an eyesore.
And
period,
Barre
full
area
stop.
development. That's what they try to do is develop the downtown. And they've had many businesses come forward and say, and looking at Barre, but then they choose not to be in Barre. And for numerous reasons, granted, numerous reasons, but one of them is the blight, the way it looks down here. And that building is a rather large space on Main Street.
And it's so sad. I mean, I remember when it was J.J. Newberrys.
Me too.
And it was a beautiful building.
Yeah.
And it was like super active. People were in there. And I know that, retail has changed over time. But, he could rent it out if he tried.
Of course he could.
But, they
Well,
could
and he
rent
didn't.
it out.
They certainly didn't need to let it fall by the wayside as long as he did. So it's as disgusting and even. I mean, nobody really wants to look at it. And I know that even a few years ago, he was at least letting people, from the Barre Merchants Bureau, I think is what it's called, the Barre Merchants.
Something like that.
But somebody that is on that, was on this, she's not anymore, but she said for a while he was letting them go in and at least keep the windows cleaned and, make it look presentable. And all of a sudden that stopped as well. He decided that, no, they couldn't do that either. And so there was at least a point in time where the front of the building looked halfway decent, and that's not the case anymore. So it's, it's pretty shitty.
Yeah. And that's really, it's just really frustrating. So pillars in our community, I mean, straight up pillars, people that have busted their ass in our community to make Barre better. We're talking people that have lived here for decades, half centuries, and some people were born, raised here, working in BADC. And I think it's really important for people to understand who BADC is. For example, well, you remember when Cody was here and he was super awesome. In the board of directors. And the first person that comes to my mind is Carl Rinker, right?
Yeah.
And you know Carl Rinker. How long have you known Carl?
Well, if I told you that, I would, maybe he wouldn't be able to tell people he was 35 anymore.
Yeah, he's definitely not 35.
Yeah. At heart, he is. He certainly is at heart. Yeah, I mean,
But,
heart and soul.
correct. I mean, it's Carl Rinker.
The art splash
used
and
to-
the anything that he can possibly do to
Exactly.
make things in the city more beautiful. He
Right.
certainly tries. And so do many, many people in
Right.
this community.
So as people are demonizing BADC, because that's what this really comes down to, with all due respect.
Of course.
And we can say that it's something else, but the heart of some of the people is that they're demonized. They dislike BADC because of they're rich white men. That's what
And
I've
the
heard
board,
that statement before.
Oh, I have heard that statement many times, and even in the comments that I've seen over the last few weeks. And
By the way, rich white men who invest in our city.
right, well, and not all of them are necessarily rich, and not all
No.
of them are men.
Correct. So
Either.
I'm actually going to go through the board, and it's Carl Rinker. So we all know who Carl
They
Rinker is.
changed with the times, just
Cor-
like everybody else did. There was a
Right.
time where it was all men, but everything was all men at
Correct.
one point in time.
Correct. So Carl Rinker, who's also the interim executive director because May Green stepped down. So then the president is Robert Lord. Steve McKenzie is on the board, city manager. Dave Sitchell, who's the secretary, and he's on our planning commission, amazing guy. Al Fleury is the treasurer and former president. Sarah Field. These are big boosters of Barre City. Paul Hutchins, Robert Hutchins, Chrissy Bellavance, Marcus Browning, Tony Campos, Jennifer Galfetti, Edmund Roos or Eddie Roos, Dave Rubel, and Amy White. These are really high-powered individuals that care about our community, and they had an idea. Let's, the city council offered $400,000. Let's go to city council, say, listen, if you pledge $400,000, we'll raise the rest of the money that they're asking for, so that we can finally rip that building away
Right.
from
Nobody
those,
likes
those,
the fact that it's
correct.
$1 million and
Nobody
this much
does.
money.
Absolutely not.
Nobody wants to spend $1 million
No.
on that building. It's not worth $1 million,
No,
and
it's-
everybody
it's
knows
not.
that.
It's
But
not
it's the
worth it.
only way it's going to go away, because they've proven time and time again they'll leave it there. They
Correct.
don't care.
Correct. They don't. And in full disclosure, you can't eminent domain that building. And state statute says that you can't eminent domain it. So the idea that the city's going to just say, you know what, we're going to take that building from you because we dislike you.
Right.
You can't do that. You cannot craft ordinances to specifically go after them. That's illegal. They will sue us. And that will cost more than $400,000 in litigation costs.
yeah.
I mean, they very, like I said, they're very litigious individuals. I probably shouldn't be saying this. They'll probably sue me. No, just kidding. I don't think they would. But the fact is that you can't eminent domain it. And I know that there was a post on Front Porch Forum saying, what about the Pennsylvania law? And I was like, oh, this sounds very interesting, until I looked at it, and it has to be 4 things, and one of them is not on the market.
Yep.
And it's on the market
Right.
for $1.4 million.
And the person that has it on the market is also the owner of the real estate company.
Correct.
So,
Oh,
I mean,
really?
it can stay on the market for forever and ever and ever and ever.
Great. Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on.
And so this was their idea. They were like, you know what? Let's do this. You know, Barre City, we're asking you to pledge it. We're not saying that you have to give us the money now. We're just saying if we're able to raise that additional funds, will you kick in $400,000?
And the funds are ARPA funds, which are for, right? Well, maybe there's some different ways that could happen. But one of the things that was suggested was using ARPA funds, which for downtown revitalization. They're not FEMA funds as some are trying to make others believe.
Right. So they're not what? FEMA funds. No.
FEMA funds.
So they're not. They're definitely not FEMA funds.
They have nothing to do with the flood at all.
And Shirley's asking, yes, Jeff Jacobs still owns the building through Over Lake Park LLC, and Stephen Lewenstein is the co-owner. But so they suggested in the city council ARPA or the Cozy Trust, and both of those would qualify certainly. I think, and if I was on city council, I would be moving down the direction of a TIF. You know, because it's to acquire a building that is within the TIF district, which is our downtown here, and the funds are there. And on top of that, it also goes out for a bond vote, which then the people can say, hey, we support this. And my guess is that people would support it.
From what I can tell, from just the postings, the couple of postings that we did, the majority is for it.
Right.
There certainly are people speaking out against it, and you know, somebody said it should be a homeless shelter, and somebody else, you know,
which is a great idea if you want to do that.
Well, I just feel like
actually, I don't think that's a good idea.
But we already, not on Main Street, but we already, you know, they were saying it
one.
should be a rehab facility, whatever, not the place for it. The state already owns and operates a couple of hotels, and they could implement those services in those shelters already. We don't need to start another one in order to start that. We don't need that. We have enough of that going on right now. We need something that's going to build the city up and move it forward in business and in just morale and just everything.
Yeah.
Right now it's like and we know that right now there's huge problem with crime and panhandling, and you know, I mean, the panhandling alone. Yeah, we will get into that because there's going to be a forum. It's coming up soon, and thank God that that's going to happen because there are a lot of people that are really outraged that nothing's being done. Well, people are absolutely afraid right now.
With all due, I mean, it's insane. Like as a state rep or elect, I'm not official yet. I will be Wednesday, so the next time I'm online, I'll be an official state rep. But when you look at the drug laws, and you know, it's like the lady that was up in Highgate selling crack cocaine out of Highgate next to children. Yeah, she doesn't get mandatory minimum. I think it was like,
and she doesn't lose her state-funded housing. She gets to stay there.
I'm not gonna lie, drug testing perfectly fine with if you're getting state money, and if you're,
many people have to get drug tested for jobs and for all kinds of reasons. So I'm on board with you there. I mean, there is no reason. If you're going to be getting that money, and certainly if you get caught selling out of a state-funded or a grant-funded, federally funded property, whatever it is, if you're not paying your full boat to live there and maybe not even working at all and getting a lot of assistance, you should be getting a drug test. And if you get caught doing that stuff, you should lose your housing.
Yeah, Shirley says, sorry, but that's bullshit. I'm assuming she's saying that regarding the fact that she can sell crack cocaine out of her house.
Yeah, and then live there and know that there are flood victims. There are flood families living in a hotel. on
Right.
a waiting list to get into housing, that affordable housing.
Yeah.
But they're stuffed into a hotel room waiting to on this list. But she gets to stay there in her apartment is absolute bullshit.
Yeah. And I don't know if she's out already. My suspicion is she probably is.
That she's out of jail?
Oh yeah.
She left that day.
She didn't serve a day?
No, she didn't serve any time. She was cited to appear in court, and that's it. Nothing.
Welcome to Vermont laws. Let me tell you, you get who you elect.
You get what you elect. Yeah,
Yep.
you get who you elect is right.
get who
And
you elect.
I mean, you are talking about you're going to really try to ruffle some feathers with some
With
of
that,
this stuff,
yeah.
with
I
drug
mean-
laws and mandatory sentences and changing the way things are.
Yeah. No, I definitely, so I did reach out to legislative council about, and this has nothing to do with like city council and stuff, but
Well,
it's
it will
Barry
in the
Beat,
end.
because it does affect Barry
Right,
Beat,
it
you know,
does
Barry.
affect Barry.
But I plan to try to make it so it's a felony if you are dispensing or selling, if you're selling drugs
Mm-hmm.
while and a death results, because that's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're selling drugs and a death results and it's not a felony, what?
Right,
I
it
don't
just
get
your
that.
your record can disappear,
Yeah,
and it's
you're-
no big deal.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But all I looked at, so I sent an email off to legislative council about it, and I cited the wrong statute, which was
Mm-hmm.
kind of funny. I'm like, mandatory minimums for marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, this does refer to marijuana. I'm like, that's not what I was going for.
Right.
I'm looking towards
Crack cocaine,
I want crack
fentanyl,
cocaine,
heroin.
fentanyl, heroin,
Yeah.
xylazine. I think that's the other
Yep,
one. So
yep.
those are the four main drugs. They do have shrooms, psychedelics, or antidepressants, and they have legislation or they have statute on
Right.
LSD.
And those are
bad,
but those are more
right
of
and
the
that's
misdemeanor or something that you could plead no contest to and not ever carry a
Right.
record for later. You can correct from those, just like people get DUI
Right.
or alcohol. You take the crash course, things like that. Although repeat offenders of DUI do end up with felony, so it does increase to a felony after your first one. Then it's a felony after that.
Well, I know that there.
And-
I believe
But
there's
the sale of drugs should be felony straight up all the way. Somebody looks you up years later, it says you have a felony conviction for the sale of drugs
yeah.
of those four major.
We'll see what happens. I hope that I can get some people to sign on to that. My
I
guess
hope you
is,
can too.
and if I was looking into a glass ball and trying to predict the future, it doesn't even get off the wall.
Well, you don't think that we have better luck this year than we've had in other years past? You
There's
don't think that we may
56
have?
Republicans, 56 Republicans, and you have to have 76 people vote for something. And I don't know if people are really keen on putting people in jail.
Well, and like you said, we need to. Who said anything about jail? I mean, yes, we want them to serve a sentence.
Minimum. I want
Right,
minimum.
we want a minimum sentence, absolutely. But you're also talking about other things too. You're not for those crimes.
yeah,
for those felony crimes, absolutely, they need to be
So-
going to jail. And
so
if I had my way, it'd be a lot more than 2 friggin' years, and you should
Yeah.
never get good time. It's a violent crime.
Right, and it's interesting. Like I also added in there. I want them to people that are doing that. They should get the GPS monitors, the ankle bracelets. They're like $200-$300 a pop. They have to pay for it. And that's just something that this way people can tell. Oh, this person's with this person, and they shouldn't be. Let's take care of that.
Well, it doesn't tell people; it just tells location. But
Well, if you have a system, they do have a GPS system. I looked it up, which it does show like when you're in proximity of other people with the GPS monitor.
oh,
I would love that. I'm just saying that's what I want. I
Yeah.
know that's really Big Brother, but if you're selling crack cocaine, I don't give a shit about your problems.
Right, or
with Big
fentanyl
Brother.
or anything else, yeah, near our schools or,
Excuse my language.
yeah. Yeah,
Let's see here. We got
no, I agree with you 100%. You know how I feel about all of that.
Yeah.
And you had said to me, I hope you can get some parents and stuff to come to the legislature when it matters, and I know I can.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
It's
Because we'll need it.
it's what we need.
We got off on that tangent, so I do apologize. Like, back to the building. I hope that BADC can make it work.
I do too.
And we just need to like calm down just a minute and realize that these are people that are busting their butt in our community and they're trying to make things better. The money, the ARPA funds, when that came down, I constantly was emailing Nicholas. I'm like, let's just put it all into infrastructure. I'm like, big fan of that, but that's not what's happened.
And truthfully, I really feel like the people that are speaking out I almost feel like it's a we're going to get you back kind of thing, because I think,
Are you talking about people that are speaking out against it that literally tried to shut BADC down?
yes, well,
okay.
that and they tried to shut BADC down, but, when we were upset about the oldest building in the city being sold for pennies on the dollar, and we tried to get a petition to make that stop. It had nothing to do with who was buying it. It had to do with it being sold, period. We wanted the partnership to remain. So I almost think this is kind of like the get you back thing. It's like this jealous tit for tat thing, because it's kind of like the sign thing. So I posted, and I did edit my things so that people knew, because I thought that people would know I was being a smartass when I said vacant or not, this is vandalism. Because I seem to remember when signs were hung up around the city that said vote no for the school budget, those same certain people went absolute bullshit that those signs were hung up on a building, and that was vandalism. But now it's not. It's all of a sudden it's not vandalism. It's freedom of speech now. But if you put any of that stuff in reverse, it's it's all almost laughable sometimes. It really is.
It would be laughable if it wasn't so poisonous in our community.
Right,
folks.
but it is super, super poisonous. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where it just, it's sad, and it's like, it's very depressing because that's not who we are or where we've been. And, the last 5 years have been just shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, it has.
It really has.
Hopefully it gets better.
I mean,
hopefully.
I
We'll
hope
see.
so.
Hopefully. I will say some of the artwork was pretty interesting. I'm going to share some of it here.
Yeah. The Monopoly dude.
Monopoly dude.
Yeah. And just some of the comments of like the assumption of who bought it and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. I mean, all of a sudden there's this big assumption.
I'm just going to say, I mean, this part, I'm not overly, I disagree with that, but like, yes, it is a money pit.
Yeah,
and yes,
absolutely.
it's a millionaire buyout.
A millionaire
It is
buyout.
a millionaire buyout. Look, error in your favor, collect $1 million. Correct. Unfortunately, this is the only way that we can
get rid of that
them.
Building. And it has been tried. And, but don't say the city's hands are tied, because that's a lie. But it's not. Do some research. If you're going to say that stuff, do some research and know what you're saying, because it's not true.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for Amy Gelford.
Oh, she's amazing.
She is always the voice of reason, and she's smart. She knows her stuff. She pays attention. And she said, if anybody had stayed through the executive session, so they saw the very end of the meeting the time before, and or had they read the next day's Times Argus, they would have known this. It was, there was a lot more said and done about it than what was, it really wasn't all that quick and closed doors and, whatever. It just.
No, it wasn't. So,
Yeah.
let me talk
The
about
plan
that.
is not to resell it.
Right. The, well, they do want it resold to somebody that's going to develop it.
Right.
But
But the
regarding
city gets to sell it, right?
what?
But the city will get to sell it? What was Steve talking about
So,
giving it back to the
Steve-
city for $1?
Steve said that they could see giving it to the city because there might be organizations or developers and stuff like that. They don't have access to special like EPA grants that the cities, municipalities have. For example, we were able to, FYI, adds $300,000 to our grand list, or not our grand list, $300,000 in taxes. They pay $300,000 in taxes. So annually, just something to think about. But we purchased that property for, I want to say that was $1 as well. But with that, once we purchased it, we worked with an EPA grant to remediate the ground because it was gross. I mean, there was some serious issues. But that being said, that's all something that hasn't really been ferreted out yet. And I think the hope is that they'll have a developer, and with the people that I listed, I'm sure they'll find a developer to
I'm
develop
sure.
that.
I'm sure they will as well.
So, yeah, it'll be what it will be, and hopefully something good will happen, and we just have to wait and see. And you know what? If they can't do it, guess what happens? Nothing, because the money doesn't go anywhere because they have to raise the money.
Well, and even today, so I don't know if you saw, but the Barre Partnership had done a post about the block just up the road where they put in the new apartments. And granted, yes, they are pretty damn luxurious. It's a luxurious thing, but they're short term. They're so people can come and stay. There aren't hotels here anymore to stay.
Well,
And so the fact that my relatives could possibly come here for a wedding, a funeral, a graduation, anything, and have a safe place and a nice place that the whole family could, stay, and that's a big deal to me.
So you mentioned hotel, and I mentioned this at the council meeting.
We don't have any anymore.
Well, no, we don't. I mean, we have an amazing bed and breakfast right down at the Reynolds house, which you should go down there if you want to.
But that's not the same as being able to go to a hotel. There's a difference.
It's a much more friendly feel at the Reynolds house. But the point that I was going to make was, and during that meeting, I went up to the table and I said, nobody likes this decision, but it's the best decision to vote for the $400,000 pledge. And I mentioned that a couple years ago, 6-8 years ago, there was a plan on the table to redevelop that entire area, which included, mind you, and I can tell you this because it was all leaked to Digger. It was all leaked. A city councilor.
Who?
I mean, nobody knows. There's suspicion that it might be someone that no longer is in our community.
Oh.
But anyway, don't know who it was.
But they are not in Barre anymore.
The suspicion is it's somebody that no longer lives in Barre.
Okay.
But we don't know. We don't know who it was because obviously Digger's not telling, and that person's not going to tell either. come back to Vermont because he's like, anyway, whatever. Point is that it was all leaked.
But
And,
these are really nice apartments.
well, right, but that development plan
Would have been the same?
would have it would have been phenomenal because it not only included J.J. Newberrys, it included before A&R Market was A&R Market. It was kind of just an empty building.
Right. So it would have been the whole thing.
It would have been the whole downtown rentals.
Uh-huh.
And it was also, the idea was the strip joint as well, that building, Danny Gar's building. And it was a beautiful development, absolutely gorgeous. And, city councilors that didn't support it scuttled it. And that's what happened. And it was really unfortunate. And who knows, maybe BADC could pull that development up again. Obviously, they probably wouldn't do anything
They'd have
with
to do some redactions
Right.
because it's not even
not nearly.
nearly the area, but
Correct.
they could certainly
but,
put.
But a motel was part of the plan, and it was nice. They would have a conference room that brings people downtown. That's what we need. We need that revitalization. But
Yeah, well, maybe now there could be a
It is
parking
what it is.
garage and a grocery store and some apartments and,
and it had some apartments too.
yeah. And
So it was a good development. I'm very sad that it
well,
was scuttled.
I think that
if
it really looked to me like they were trying to do the same thing last week.
yeah.
And I always find it so interesting. And I know you're going to be like, ah, because I'm saying this, but I just find it extremely interesting that the comments
Be
of
good.
backdoor, underground, closed doors, politics, da 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 da. That seemed like a pretty organized thing to me.
I will say this.
We
If
had
you're paying attention,
we had
it
the
wasn't backdoor.
ex-mayor, we had the ex-mayor's significant other. We had.
You're talking about the other thing.
I'm talking about the J.J. Newberry thing
Oh.
at this last meeting. I'm saying that they talk about, backdoor politics, underground politics or whatever, but that seemed like a pretty planned event last Monday night.
Yeah.
That seemed pretty a planned attack.
It was.
And for people that didn't know anything about what was going on, because it was last minute and under the radar,
I think.
like,
people-
holy shit, people really showed up, right?
Right. People didn't know, right? People didn't really know what was going on because a lot of people don't have time to invest in city council. They don't have, hours to, read minutes, listen to the videos.
Well, it wouldn't take hours to read minutes.
No, it wouldn't. But I knew what was going down because I paid attention.
Right, we read it.
Right after the executive session, they came out, they voted, and they said that they had to do a ratification.
But, yeah.
They did
And
a
then it was in the
ratification,
Times-Argus.
And I haven't even gotten to the Teddy thing yet.
What they did to him was
What they did
disgusting.
to him was absolutely disgusting, and we'll get into that. It was very very sad. The last meeting that Teddy went to, and I'm not, Teddy and I are friends. Politically speaking, we are not. We're not.
Right,
on
you're
the
not
same
anywhere
page.
aligned with
Correct.
anything.
But there's certain things that you just don't do, and the gotchas. It's not good. It's not good on the school board, and it's not good on city council.
No, that was
And
gross. That
it
was straight up gross.
I felt bad for Teddy, and I think everybody felt
He
bad
handled
for
it
Teddy.
very well.
Oh yes, he did.
He did. He handled it very well. He and Tom both, because that night the disrespect shown to Tom during that meeting blew my mind.
Yeah. And for folks that don't know what the vote, right?
Well, that would have worked out better for them for sure. But that's what I'm saying. It was very much planned.
It was planned.
But supposedly, you know, they don't meet. Our video just ended.
It did?
Mm-hmm. The live video has just ended. It's going to the next one.
Well, unable to connect.
Somebody reporting us, probably. Erica Rail having a heart attack.
Well, we're still streaming.
Huh?
Saying we're still streaming.
Oh, this says we're not.
Huh. Well, we're streaming the YouTube. We're not streaming to Facebook. Unable to connect to Facebook. Huh. So there's one person watching on YouTube.
Who is it?
I don't know. Who's watching on YouTube?
They probably won't tell you.
They might. That's interesting. We're unable to connect. We'll have to figure that out. Moving on. It's probably
well,
because
wait a
we're-
minute. Can you share the YouTube to 802 Scoop on Facebook right now?
I sure can.
That way it will, people can click back on if they want to.
It's really frustrating.
Yes.
Who's on YouTube?
Hold on one second, guys. Oh, wait a minute. Can you share the YouTube to 802 Scoop on Facebook right now?
I sure can.
That way it will, people can click back on if they want to.
Really frustrating.
Yes.
Who's on YouTube? Glenn is on YouTube.
He is.
I think so.
Hold on one second, guys.
I am not being able to share this.
You can't?
Yeah, it's not. I don't know how to share it. We'll have to share it later. Well, that's fine.
All right.
I don't know what happened. It's not working to Facebook, so it might have. It's very possible that
Somebody probably
somebody
reported
might
us.
have reported us. Oh well.
Oh, wow.
All right. Well, moving on to City Council, we'll share it. We'll share it. That's really frustrating. I'm sorry, folks. Very sorry.
Yeah, me too.
I guess we should stop talking about the. I guess we should stop talking about that. I wonder. It's interesting.
It is interesting. But
All
anyway.
right. So important, which is really frustrating that we're not talking about this right now. The caucus for Ward 2. So Teddy stepped down.
Uh-huh.
So there's going to be a caucus meeting on February 13th.
Uh-huh.
What's going on?
Nothing.
You're
I'm live on my phone.
You're live on your phone?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a caucus meeting on the 13th, February 13th, at 7 p.m. at the Alumni Hall, which is the second floor. So you can go in there and go through the elevator if you need to. But if you live in Ward 2, which is basically the right side of Beckley, all the way over to kind of like Elmwood Cemetery Park, Courier Park area. If you go beyond Courier Park, then you get into Ward 1. So if you live in on that side of Main Street, so if you live in Ward 2, you should definitely go to the caucus meeting. Folks, if you're watching on this
On the
Raylene's
cell phone?
on the cell phone, you should go to the YouTube page.
Because it'll probably come out a lot better.
It will. It will definitely come out better.
But we had some technical difficulties, and for some reason, the computer isn't connecting, but it allowed me to reconnect and go live with my phone. Makes no sense. We have quite a few people that sign back on, though, so I'm just going to leave it that way. But I am going to, you guys are going to have to deal with, I'm going to rotate this around. I'm going to switch the camera around. Oh, why won't it let me turn my camera around when I'm live?
It won't let you do that.
No, remember? But so people are going to have to just deal with.
People are going to the YouTube page, just so you know.
Oh, good.
So that's awesome. Thank you guys for going to the YouTube page. YouTube is a far more superior platform for video. I'll just say that.
Well, and it
Full-
certainly
full
allows us to
disclosure.
get away with more.
Clearly.
That's for sure. Somebody's going to report it or shut us down. It doesn't really
I know.
take kindly to that and doesn't do it. But anyways,
So there's
so where are we
the
at?
caucus
So the
meeting.
caucus. The caucus is coming up. We know it's the 17th, right?
Yep, 13th.
13th at
13th
7.
At 7
At
p.m.
7 o'clock.
And that's February 13th, 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
At Alumni Hall. They
And
so
we're not.
so that's going to be warned tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be one of the agenda items. The other agenda items is the second reading of the parking ban.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is the city has modified their parking ban. They're no longer doing a straight out ban. It's all notification based. So if it's going to snow, you're going to get a notification that the parking ban is active. And the best way to be part of those notifications is regroup, which I just posted. So people can click on
regroup.
that and sign up for regroup.
Sign up for regroup.
It's not posted to the Facebook.
That is the best way.
Yeah. And then they're going to be talking about a budget survey. So we will certainly let folks know when that comes out. We haven't had a budget survey for quite some years now, which will be great. They're also going to be talking about the FEMA buyouts, and they're going to be raising some buildings, which is really awesome for our community on multiple levels.
Raising some buildings, meaning not raising
Not
them
raising,
like they
not
used to say.
R-A-Z-I-N-G.
They're literally going to raise them up.
R-A-I-S-I-N-G. Correct.
Yep.
And the benefit with that is that Barre City is such a small postage stamp. It's 4 square miles. So when you take a property off from the tax rolls, that has a massive impact. And what they're doing with that is that they are making it so that that building can stay there. But more importantly, the person that lives there can continue to live in their home.
Yeah, Kathy, if you want to hear Michael well, this is the bad part. So we got kicked off of Facebook. We had to go live with my phone. Can you still not connect to Facebook with the computer?
No.
You still cannot?
It's still saying not connecting.
The computer will not let him connect to Facebook, but you can go over to YouTube and then you should be able to hear us both well.
Yep. And again, folks, I'm really sorry that this is happening.
Oh, maybe turn on the speaker. Not connect to Facebook with the computer.
No, that won't make a
Can't
difference.
do it.
But what I can do is I can go to Facebook and I can post it now.
You can?
I can.
Good.
So I will definitely
Yeah,
do that.
so he's going to put the link to YouTube in the comments right now
Yes, ma'am.
on my live. And then you guys could just click the link and join us over there. That would be awesome. We don't know what's happening. But because all of this is really important stuff, so I don't want anybody to miss anything. So no matter what, we will make sure that we also post the video in its entirety. We'll share it to Facebook afterwards as well.
Absolutely. And some reason that's weird. I don't know what's going on. We just have so many technical difficulties.
I don't know either. Nothing surprises me lately, though.
I know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so moving on to raising those buildings up, it's just such a better option for folks. So they'll be voting on that, and as we talked about Teddy getting the coup d'état treatment from someone.
Yeah.
The manager has decided to institute a policy
That
regarding.
was brutal.
Oh yeah.
What
it
happened
was.
to Teddy?
Yeah.
It was wrong on so many
the-
levels.
The manager is going to do a policy to to have for counselors to reach out to him to get um, legal advice. And this way, there's no question about
Right, none of that
seeking
happens
third
again
party.
ever.
Yeah, hopefully. So there was that, and pretty much that's it for city council tomorrow night. And then there's school board.
But before you get to school board, even though that's all there is with city council, and I cannot look at Facebook now because of what I'm doing with my phone, could you please go to the city's website and tell people about the forum that is coming up, because that's going to be
yes.
very important. That is coming up next week on the 13th, I believe, Monday the 13th, right?
Yes.
Am I correct?
So let's look that information up.
It's right on the City of Barre's Facebook page. So
Right.
if you can check that out so that you can give
Absolutely.
that
So
information.
the Public Safety Forum, that's going to be on January 13th at 5:30 at Alumni Hall. So January 13th, Alumni Hall, and join city leaders and State Attorney Michelle Donnelly to hear about quality of life concerns, police department response, justice system perspective, next steps and upcoming initiatives. Share your concerns and be heard. We see all this stuff that's going on at in the city regarding people going door to door knocking, and not going door to door selling Kirby vacuums, right?
Asking for money.
Right. And
people have gone out to start their cars in the morning and all of a sudden had somebody behind them or in their driveway asking for money.
right. And I know people will say, well, they have the right to do that. Please don't. Just don't do that.
But
That's not
why
nice.
do they? I don't understand.
Because, I mean,
It's time and time and again, all day, every day. That's all you ever do. That's not me going next door and saying, knock, 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 can I borrow a cup of sugar twice a year? This is like, this is nuisance. This is scaring people. And now it has turned to somebody getting actually attacked and robbed last week behind Subway.
Correct.
The man was knocked to the ground, injured. They took his food and his money. I mean,
yeah.
and really it is making people upset enough, and people are getting really bold about wanting to protect themselves. And so one way or another, this is going to boil over into a really bad situation.
It truly
Either
is.
the homeowner or the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And so if there isn't a way to settle this down and calm this down, it's going to get out of control one way or another. And that's horrible. We don't want that at all, no matter the circumstance. I don't want a homeowner doing that, and I don't want these panhandlers doing that. And but I understand. I'm scared I don't walk in here without locking myself in. We have cameras everywhere. That's just the way it goes. I never come down here at night. I don't go out to the grocery stores after dark anymore. And even during the day, you have to worry about it because you get approached there too. You can't walk across a parking lot, and people can say whatever they want. I have a friend that was attacked at Shaw's just two weeks ago. They asked her for money. She said she didn't have any. They got pissed off, knocked her to the ground. Her face got all scun up. They were bound and determined they were going to get her purse. Now, she fought and didn't let them get her purse and called enough attention to it that they took off and jumped in the car. But that isn't the first time that's happened either. And then never mind the stolen vehicles. And I mean, can you remember, I don't know if you ever did this as a kid. This was a big deal to us. We used to fight over this chore in my house. Can you guess what it was? Get ready for school. Who's going to go out and start the car? For my mom. Like, we would literally fight over who got to start the car. And I'll never forget when I was the only one tall enough to push in the clutch when she got a stick. I was the only one tall enough to push in the clutch and hold the brake at the same time so that I could, then it was just my job, and that made me happy. But you can't do that. You cannot do that.
No.
You can't go out and start your car and warm it up. And I know that makes all, some people that are all about air pollution very happy because you're not supposed to, let all that happen. But it's freaking cold. And you just have to go out there and cold start it and run it. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah. It's frustrating. That's all.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm glad they're going to have the forum, though.
Yeah.
So Alumni Hall, which is attached to the auditorium, you can go in the front door or the back door, or just the front going to be open?
I assume
We don't know.
The front is where you would want to go in.
You go in.
That would be my guess.
Second floor is handicap accessible in there, so it's open to all, and I encourage as many as possible. Go,
Yep.
please. And just
Absolutely.
in case, it is my hope, God willing, here, that we will be there and we'll go live. So it's a Monday night. And so as opposed to being here, maybe we can be there for that instead. But we'll see how that goes. But that's my hope, is that because I don't believe there's a Zoom option or for it. I didn't see that. I didn't. If there is, I won't worry about it. But if there's not, I will more than likely set up and go live from there.
Great.
Just to stream it.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
So with that, then, and there's not really too much excitement going on in the school board. We're talking about the budget. So
Well, that's exciting to some people.
It's exciting to some people. It's I'm sure it's going to be exciting, and it's too bad that it's so expensive to educate in the state of Vermont, and our system is messed up because we don't have a good education funding. Hopefully the legislature handles that this year, but I don't have too high of hopes on that. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But hopefully we can get a budget where, there's a majority of people that are not, it's not a I break the tie kind of deal. Hopefully we'll have enough people to support the budget so that we can pass it in one swoop. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the superintendent search. And we're going to set that up, and hopefully we'll have, by the end of the night, the main contact for that, and have the individuals that are going to be part of that search group, and just make some general decisions regarding it.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, we're going to need it. Lots of fun. And then, of course, Wednesday I get sworn in.
That should be lots of fun. Congratulations.
All right. So we are well over. And once again,
Well, we started
sorry.
late, so not really.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So
Yeah.
once again, do want to apologize to everybody. You can
Facebook
certainly...
is having a bird about something, and we're
I
not
don't
quite sure
know-
yet.
I don't know what happened, but YouTube is working. So my thought is somebody complained and we got kicked off.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. But just in case, we'll put up the link, the YouTube link, so
Yep.
that everybody can watch this in its entirety in case you missed anything.
Absolutely. Most important thing is Glenn's here. So,
That's right.
all right.
That's right. Glenn's
Well-
here, and I think quite a few people.
There is
did,
quite a few people. We've got...
stay on. We have 11 still on.
And we have 9 on YouTube.
yeah.
So there's quite a few people there.
And Jeff Bergeron is with us on Facebook. Jennifer Carbonneau is with us on Facebook. So,
we
yeah.
get a lot of people.
We do. Thank you all for
Yes.
your support
Thank
and
you
tuning
very
in
much.
despite all of our hiccups.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thanks for sticking
It's
with us.
embarrassing. It's all my fault.
We're gonna get this eventually. I don't know
Yeah.
what the hell's going on lately, but we seem to be having a little bit too many problems.
I would agree with that. I
I
don't
think
know.
that I'm gonna put us in a room and lock it all down. Just telling you.
Well, sorry. We got a late start today because I was
Yeah.
not, yeah, my mistake.
So have a great night, everyone.
right. Yep.
See you on Thursday.
All right. Everybody have a great evening.